sup yo? So I wanted to make a video about Ghost Recon Breaking, and not only because I enjoyed Wildlands, the game before this, but so many people liked and watched my Wildlands video. Like, a lot of people seem to really enjoy that game. I've never played Breaking Point before, so I thought it was only right that I make a follow-up video for Breaking Point. But real quick, I just have to let it be known. The reason I haven't uploaded in a while is because I was in the middle of a blizzard, so...
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you, right.
Like, I just don't get it. Like, where I live, it doesn't snow, and it just came out of nowhere, like with zero warning, as if someone had like a IRL GTA cheat code for the weather. Okay, let me stay on topic. So, Ghost Recon Breaking, let me break it down for you. So the gameplay, of course, is still the same as it was in Wildlands, and I could admit that I made the fattest mistake known to man when I said the gameplay was like a mixture of Siege and Splinter Cell, when in actuality/reality, it was like Splinter Cell and The Division, so my B. So of course the gameplay to me is still just as fun, but in this game they added a little bit more abilities, if you will. So like there's this new system called class techniques, which is basically just classes of like what kind of playstyle you want. So for me, this was a no-brainer. I picked the Panther class just because it specializes in stealth. But there's pretty much every class you can think of. There's a sniper class, there's a assault class, there's a engineer class, anything you can think of basically. And they all come with their own abilities, of course. Like the Panther one, for example, it throws a smoke bomb, so like if you get spotted or something like that, you pretty much lose the enemies immediately, like they just forget about you. Or like the sniper class, for example, it gives you armor piercing rounds so you can shoot through any kind of enemy types. And speaking of enemy types, there's your standard enemies, which are like basically just the riflemen and the sniper rifles. And then now there's heavies in the game, so of course they have more armor and like a LMG or minigun. And then there's an elite version of like the standard enemies, which are the main enemies in like the story, but they're called wolves. And they're pretty much just up armored variants of like your standard enemy types, so like the riflemen, the sniper rifles, and like the close quarter shotgunners. And finally there are drone enemy types, so there's drones like that fly in the air that can spot you, or like there's these like mini tanks or like a full-blown tank drone that can spot you. I forget their names, so I'm just gonna classify them as drones, but yeah, there's those kind of enemies now. But overall, Breaking Point feels like, I guess, an upgrade of Wildlands, and I say that because there's more mechanics and it just feels overall more tactical. So like the camps that you explore around the world, they have like a bunch of options in them. So like if you do preparations, which basically give you like a boost for an hour, they all give you a boost for an hour, but like you can increase your endurance and be less fatigued, increase your accuracy, increase your experience. The camp itself has a bunch of mechanics in it. There's also an in-game store now, which sounds weird at first, but now it's just a quick way to get gear and weapon attachments and just pretty much a lot of other customization stuff, which I'll get into later. Like for example, if you're too lazy to go out and get blueprints or just weapon attachments, because I know it can be tedious because they're all spread apart throughout the map, you can just buy them with credits, which range between 2,000 and like 10,000 credits, which isn't a lot. So the store is just an alternative option. If you don't want to like scavenge your gear, you can just buy it for pretty cheap. So, and finally, another new mechanic is the prone camo, which is mainly useful against drones because they just have a harder time to see you, but it also works on the regular enemy types. But it's just a nice new mechanic and ability just because it makes the game feel more tactical. Which, speaking of tactical, so when you first start the game, it'll ask you if you want to play in the regular game mode or immersive mode, which is basically a realistic mode, and I think that's really cool. You don't have to just strictly play those two modes. You can have a custom version of both aspects of the game modes. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played too much of the immersive mode, but when I did, it was pretty fun because it's like your minimap is pretty much gone. You can't switch weapons like in the normal game mode. You have to like just pick up guns just randomly from crates or enemies. It's like the ultimate tactical mode, and it was pretty fun. The only real difference I noticed between Wildlands and breaking point is that there's no rebel support system. So like you can't call for a backup, or you can't call for a mortar strike or something like that. I don't think that's an option in this game, so that's the only real difference. But besides that, it's exactly like Wildlands. So I want to go back for a second and talk about the abilities again, because I forgot something. So with your class ability, not only do you get to use that, but you get perks with them, and you unlock perks with your skill points. And so it's basically, the perks are just, they activate when you use your ability. So you could get like damage resistance and health regen for a couple of seconds while your ability is active and things like that. And you get skill points by either finding them randomly in the world or just by leveling up. So it's really easy to obtain. And finally, there's this last ability called team ability, which is exactly what it sounds like. Your teammates give you small buffs. They're not nothing crazy or special, but it's like, 5% damage towards drones, or like a scan ability, so you know where the enemies are, things like that, or like an extra revive. So it's nothing crazy, but it's nice if you have your teammates active, of course. And finally, the customization. I still think Ghost Recon has one of the best customization options in video game history. So most of the items are going to be in the store, but there are things you can get from just scavenging or doing challenges. But the customization itself is still just as good as it was in Wildlands. So you can customize not only yourself, but your teammate, your weapons, of course, and just pretty much anything you can think of. Really, I probably don't have to mention this, but of course the more cooler things are just gonna either be more expensive or harder to obtain. And what I mean by that is, like, me personally, I think some of the coolest things are from leveling up your class abilities. You get free gear, whether it be like actual pieces of gear or like credit or whatever, and it usually has like a helmet at the end or something like that. Like, if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. But the best gear is just obviously going to be the hardest or the most expensive gear. So that's pretty much my thoughts on Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Of course, I think the game's really fun. I bet it's way more fun with other people. I really want to try immersive mode one more time, just because I want to see like how much of a difference it is, I guess, compared to the regular game mode. The only thing I don't like about the regular game mode is the gear level. It like tells you if you have like an uncommon weapon or a common weapon, like the rarity thing. I don't really like that in a game like Ghost Recon. But please let me know what you guys think of Ghost Recon. Like do you prefer Wildlands or do you prefer Breakpoint? Because honestly, I could go either way. Like, I like both of the games, but I'd say Breakpoint is just like, is a little bit more advanced, if you know what I mean. But both games are really good. I'd recommend playing it, trying it out for yourself. And I still think this game is fun, even in 2023. But please let me know what you think of the game. If there's any other games you think I should try out, let me know. And so with that being said, thanks for watching. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you in the next video, cause I'm dipping out.